Welcome back to Hoochos. Swarm season is upon us, and I want to take you on an adventure today through my second year of beekeeping. And towards the end of the video, I'm going to be releasing a 3D print for beekeepers to label their inventory and manage their hives. Well, technically it's still my first. I got the bees in November, at the start of November, and it is now the end of August, heading into the start of September, which means one thing: the end of winter, the beginning of spring here in the southern hemisphere, and swarm season. So I did a colony check about a week ago, and I saw a bunch of signs that these guys are primed and ready to procreate. Drone cells everywhere, a couple of queen cups. I want to jump the gun and start splitting colonies so that I can multiply my hives. Now, obviously, if you don't want to multiply your hives, this is when you would perform manipulations to suppress swarming or cell nucleuses. So here I have 4 empty hives. These 3 are my new favorite style of hive. They're the Enel polyfoam-filled beehive, and they are extremely insulative. So I'm using these as all of my new brood boxes. I have some insulated lids on top, and over here, this is my side-by-side hive that I'm currently developing. So this is the internals of the side-by-side. It's essentially a brood next to a honey, so it's like a long lang, and then you have different ways of manipulating our girls. There will be dials on the inside, I just haven't printed them yet. This is an escape that I've developed for this hive. So the hives that I'm particularly concerned about today are the Flow and the Auto Frame, which I got both as nucleuses in November last year. Last colony inspection, this hive was hopelessly queenless. The side-by-side has still got a bunch of space to fill out. I'm going to be concerned mainly with these 3 hives as well. This was my original full Langstroth, so I almost guarantee this one is primed, and these 2 are very strong colonies. This was the swarm that I captured in my original swarm video, and this was a split that I did with Phil, the beekeeper that I got my bees from. So in preparation for splitting these hives, I set up this stand. It's just 2 planks of wood with some legs attached, and I laid out these hives. So I'm going to throw on a bee suit and we can start at the beginning. This is my full Langstroth. We're going to pull it apart and check our colony, see if there are drone, queen cups, queen cells, and whatever else is happening in the colony. If I see any signs that the colony is going to swarm, I'm going to make the decision on the spot to split it in half. I need to have 10 frames for each hive that I'm going to split, because 5 frames are going to go into the old and 5 frames are going to go into the new. So you also have to have your frames prepared. So here I also have, this is 20 frames, and I've got another 20 in the shed if I need it. So let's crack open this hive. Just going to give it a little puff, like so. So I'm going to show you as I pull them out what we're looking for. I'm just going to clean the top of this box up. So it is a very healthy beehive. They are looking very good. So you can see here the drone brood starting to pop out, and on the other side here you can see that drone brood just here. Place our frame holders down. So I can see evidence of queen because there is eggs. So you can see here we've got queen cups. So I actually forgot that last time I was in this one, I did actually replace a bunch of the foundation. You can see this is all fresh. I've seen evidence that there is a laying queen in here. So I'm going to be splitting this hive. Now I've got to make the decision of how many resources to give to each hive. I'm going to go through and evenly split the hive, giving the same amount of honey, bee bread, pollen stores, and brood types. just into this hive here actually. We're just gonna do it straight into here. This has got a bunch of eggs on it, so that's fantastic, that'll be nice. I'm just gonna make sure I know where the queen is, because I'd like to know. So I'm gonna see if I can find her as I transfer these over. So they'll go in there. Whoop. Just gonna close it up to begin with. There's a queen cup on this one. I can't see a queen on that one. So that's gonna go in here. That's got a bunch of brood and pollen stores. Can't see a queen. So the pollen's gonna be really useful. It has a queen cup on it, up the top. A week ago, I put some foundation in, and this has been built out in a week, and in every one of these cells is an egg, which is fantastic. That's gonna be really good just for this colony to provide for. So they'll be nice and busy with those. That's a nice heavy one. So I'm gonna put that in the new colony. It's got tons of bees on it. I'll put those in there. That one's got a lot of brood. I'm gonna leave that one in here, and that's got some honey, so I'm gonna put that one in here. And because we won't have foragers coming back, I'm just gonna shake some of these bees in as well. Fill these up. 2 on one side, 3 on the other. Like so, and our lid can go on top of that. Done. Beautiful. And I'm gonna open these guys up. There we go. One split done. All right, this is my most productive, but also most aggressive hive. Is it always that way? All right, there's some nice eggs and honey. So eggs, honey, and some brood, that's going over. See ya. That's like all honey and some bee bread. So I'm gonna leave that one. That's the queen there, just there. So I am going to capture her. Queen cage, so I know where she is. Just gonna put her down out of the sun. And I can work as fast as I like now that I've found the queen without worrying about hurting the queen. So, what do we got? That is filling up with honey. This is an empty frame I put in last time when I collected a whole thing of honey. So they're just loving that. I'm gonna leave that for them. That is some brood, some bee bread, some pollen stores, and some honey. I'm gonna leave that. What else we got? This is heavy. That's all brood. Here's the drones. Down the bottom here, and the one sticking out here. Haven't seen any queen cells yet, which is good. It means I've got them in time. So I'm gonna leave that one because that's a really nice frame of brood. And that's half brood, half honey, which I'm gonna put over in the other because I don't have any honey stores. So that's how I've split them. And the queen is gonna stay in this hive, so I know where she is. I'll put these girls in here, right like that. I'm gonna shake 2 frames. Put the lid on. That is good to go. These 5 are going to go into our auto frame. They are not happy. I wouldn't be either if this just happened to my house. Push them together and we can replace the top once the queen's in. So the queen, there she is. Just going to make sure she goes down and into, off you hop off. Yep, she's in. All right, now we can put the lid on. Success. Because I've done 2 splits, I've used up the 20 frames I had. So I'm going to, oh, they're not even wired up. I thought they were wired. Oh, bugger. I'm gonna have to wire and wax them. So these frames are already pre-nailed and glued them together. All I need to do now is add on add in my wire. This is a 3D printable frame wiring jig that I designed and is available on my Patreon if you'd like to print this off. It just requires M8 bolts and skateboard bearings and another bolt that goes through there. All the specifications are on my Patreon and just screws down to any piece of wood. This is the older version. The newer light version takes up way less filament. And there's a whole video on how I did this, so if you want to check that out. Okay, so it's day 2 of the splits. I've split the auto frame and the large Langstroth, but I ran out of frames because I only had 20. So I wired up and waxed another 20 frames using my 3D printable frame wiring jig, and I embedded the wax as well, just using a 12-volt car battery charger. So here I have 20 more full Langstroth waxed beehive frames, and we can get to the second round of splits. All right, so this is the genuine flow. I did replace some of the honey in the brood box with some bare foundation a week ago or a little bit longer. So there will be some frames that look a bit sparse, but I think they're gonna be well and truly ready for the split. So I'm gonna crack our hive. Oh, that is a lovely brood pattern. It's not many bees in the hive because all the foragers are out, so that's good. Have a look at that brood pattern. That is really nice. That's a really nice brood frame, so I'm gonna leave that one there. Honey and brood, uncapped brood. Brood is quite advanced, so what we need is eggs so that they can raise their own new queen. So I'm going to look for one with eggs as well. Wow, that is a full brood pattern there as well. So that's a really nice brood pattern. That one's going to go into the new. So we've got a bunch of capped brood that's ready to emerge. Just check there's no queen on that. So I'm going to take this one over because we've got some honey and capped brood. And this is going into one of the center boxes. So in this one here. This next one is one of the frames that I replaced last week, and you can see how fast they've been able to build it out. Look at that. And that is actually all egged, laid out. So the queen has been really busy. So in each one of these cells, there is an egg. And that is fantastic. I'm actually gonna leave that one here because they're going to need a lot of care. But that's going to be really good for the future of this colony. I'm just looking on this one for the queen because it looks like she's spent a lot of time here. All right, that one's staying. Oh, we have a queen cell. Yep, and it looks like it's been laid. So you can see it. It's coming off the side of the frame. So this one's going to go into the new hive. So I'm going to use that queen cell, hopefully to speed up the, it's actually a queen cup. And the queen is on this frame as well. You can see the queen here with the dot on her back. So it's not an emergency queen cup, it's actually a queen cup. It's not an emergency queen cup because there is a queen on this, in this hive. So I'm just going to capture her, because I don't want her to transfer into the other hive. So she is in my queen cage. And this whole frame is going over to our other hive. That's solid brood across the board. What I really want is some protein for these guys. So I've got 2 frames over there. I'm gonna see what these last frames hold because I'd like some bee bread and pollen because these guys will have the numbers to make back. There we go. Okay, so there's a heap of bee bread on that one and pollen stores. It looks like more pollen than bee bread. Yep, that is a fantastic frame. A little bit of honey a little bit of bee bread, a little bit of brood. It's covering all bases, so we're gonna take that one over. All right, we've got 2 more frames to decide on. So this was a really good brood frame, so I may be taking that over. Oh, that's a lot of pollen, bee bread, and honey, and some brood as well. I'm gonna take that one over to give them some more resources. Bee bread and honey, the bee numbers are more important, I think, at this point, because we're about to hit into spring. So I'm gonna give them another frame of brood, and these guys can quickly build out and start replenishing the frames that I replace this brood with. All right, so what we're gonna do now is, I'm gonna checkerboard this one, unlike the other ones, putting a frame foundation between each second. And I'm gonna shake a couple of frames into the other hive. Now, leave me a comment as to what you think is better, to add the frames in on the outside, 2 here and 3 there, or to checkerboard like this. I'm just playing with both really at the moment, so there's no reason why I've done this one way or the other. But yeah, I'd love to hear constructive criticism or positive feedback, whatever you want. So that's good to go. I'm gonna put this super back on top. And now I'll add in these frames to the hive we've just filled up. Oh, I forgot to put the queen back in. Don't do that. So I'll just open this up and let Her Majesty go back. There she is. Let's make sure she goes down, and she's in the hive. Fantastic. And keep these frames together. Okay. We've got the door open. So I've got these 2 hives to go. You saw what I did in the last one. I'm just going to be repeating that, checking it, and then assessing whether they need to be split. So for this hive, I've only left 4 frames of brood and resources because one of the frames was full of honey. And I wanted to give that to the other colony to give them a head start, because these guys will have all the forages. And these guys will also have the super on top that they can borrow resources from for the foreseeable future as well. So just packing these guys out. I figured that they're gonna be better off with foundation to build on than a whole thing of honey that they've got excess of in the top of the super anyway. So I'm just gonna throw that super back on. And there's a bunch more bees in here as well. And they've got a heap of honey in there. Now I've run out of hives, so I'm hoping that I don't have to split this hive. I'm just gonna check on it. It's not very heavy, that, so. We've got drone brood. Absolutely plenty of brood. Now we've got heaps of room for laying there. I forgot that I took some resources from this one and put it over into a hopelessly queenless hive that I had. So these 3 frames in the middle here are practically empty and new. So they've been building them out. So this queen has a bunch of space. The girls shouldn't want to swarm. So I'm pretty happy with this actually. That means I don't need to split this hive. These guys are a little bit agitated. Yeah, I've got some drone brood, but that's nothing to worry about. We have a queen cup. Why are you queen cupping? What's the point of that? You got heaps of space. I'm happy with that. I'm not going to split them. So that turned out absolutely perfectly. And there it is. We've gone from 3 hives at the beginning of last season in November to 10 months later, 11 beehives. Now, one of the problems I'm going to face going forwards is managing these beehives, which is why I want to introduce you to this 3D print that I've designed for this specific job. So what I've designed here is a numbering system for hives. It's a digital format laid over a 3D print, essentially. So it's digital clock numbers and letters so that you can drop it onto a build plate of a multicolored printer, and we can color in the print by selecting the impressions that I've made on the surface of the print to correlate with the number or letter that you want to represent this hive. So say you wanted to have hive, you can also color around the outside to give it a honeycomb highlight. And then O and 1, hive 1. And if you like, you can have hive -1. Whatever format you want to do, you could have all numbers, all letters, and what you would do is you'd slice this plate and then print it out on a multicolor printer. And you'll end up with something like this. And that can just be, and you can customize the colors and the numbers and the letters to whatever you want your inventory system to look like. You'll then just take some double-sided tape and you can stick it to the brood box hive body of your beehive, like so. And this will allow you to keep an inventory with your own logbook of each hive and the activity that you observe in your inspections. And there it is. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Hoochos. I will keep you up to date on how the hive splits progress and whether they're successful or not. Happy beekeeping, and I will see you next time on Hoochos.